Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you saw my previous video, you know that I said I was going to turn around and record this one, which is all about the timeline it takes for you to manifest something. Why does it take one person a year to manifest their specific person, but it takes another person 2 months and then another person 10 days? What is up with that? And I don't know, that kind of makes me nervous when I hear those types of stories. Like, well, why does it take that long? Here's what happens in those time frames and how people are presenting them to you. Manifestation is basically just your 3D reality shifting to meet your energetic state. So when somebody says, okay, I'm manifesting a specific person, it depends on when they feel that they started this journey, right? Because all of manifestation is a journey. So for example, I could have said that it took me almost a year. I'm really bad with math and times. I think, yeah, it took me almost a year it took me a year to manifest a specific person. But then I would actually probably say it took me 2 weeks to manifest that same specific person. Now, what had happened was the year time frame was when I decided that I wanted to experience a certain dynamic. And then it took me a year to go through the experiences I needed and self-lessons, self-discovery, to come into a state to actually receive what I wanted. Now, when I came into a state to receive what I wanted, or I was very close to being in that state, it took me like 2 weeks to fully align and then have that person come in. So I don't know if that was enough of an explanation of why timelines can take longer. So it's a little tricky, right? You have the big goal and when you started trying to manifest that, and then you have it actually coming in, and somewhere in between is when you truly came into alignment with that thing. You weren't in alignment a year ago. So when people tell you, oh, it only took me 2 weeks to manifest my SP, it took them 2 weeks to get into a space of being in alignment and then having that person show up as a reflection of that alignment. But it's been a journey, right? To get there, there were other steps they needed to be. Where they were at the beginning of that 2 week period was not where they were a year ago. So does that make sense? Like where I was at the start of my 1 year period, it took me a year to get into alignment to then call in what I had realized I wanted, right? Because you start revising. You're like, oh, okay, these things are showing up. I don't want it. I'm going to give you a different example. Or not necessarily an example, but I'm going to sort of walk you through my understanding of how this works, and maybe if it didn't click like that, it'll click like this. So I have been working on understanding why I am so fearful of certain dynamics in certain relationships and why I am repelling those dynamics. Now, you could say that I started working on this a month ago, and I still haven't seen results show up in my 3D reality. But to me, the manifestation's not going to come in yet until I'm in alignment, right? So every breakthrough I have, the clock starts over because I just had a breakthrough and I've shifted alignment. Does that make sense? So every time I shift a little bit, I don't know if I'm really there yet, but the clock starts over. So even though I've been working on shifting multiple times for the past month, that doesn't mean, I don't know, I guess it does mean that it took me a month, but to me, I just, every time I see myself discover more about myself, heal another piece of me, realize another wound, have another major realization that brings me into a deeper space of self-love, that is my manifestation showing up. Just because it's not reflected in the 3D yet, that is still it reflected in the 3D, right? So just because it hasn't reflected as another person showing up as a result of that shift is an example of my manifestation showing up. Because if I was not trying to come into that alignment, I would not be having these revelations. So I wouldn't say, I guess what I'm trying to get at is that I would not say it took my manifestation a month to show up. I would say, because I didn't start in alignment, it took me a month to get into alignment. And then my manifestation showed up a week later. So say that, let's go back to my first example of it took me a year to manifest my specific person. It took me 11 and a half months to come into alignment with manifesting that specific person, and then it really only took 2 weeks for me to fine-tune things and shift and actually get there, because our 3D reality just reflects things immediately. Like, it just does. It just does. You really don't have to actually wait long. So this isn't trying to get you to be like nervous and be like, oh my gosh, I need to be doing all this work. Let it come up naturally. This is a process that is happening at your own pace. I just find comfort in this. I find comfort in the fact that if my manifestation's end goal hasn't arrived yet, I am still in the journey of self-discovery to come into that alignment. I think that's the best way to put it. Yeah. So I see the process of manifestation not as seeing a 3D result in terms of if you're manifesting a specific person, having them show up in your 3D reality with specific actions, but that could be it. My personal process is different. I like to do my healing all by myself, completely alone and isolated, which is what I've been working on. What I've been working on changing. So that's why this is like very specific advice to people like me. And if you're not like me, just adapt it to your situation if it can, or if it's not resonating, just be like, okay, Alex, and go on with your day. So yeah, I'm going to keep this video short. I think that the process of manifestation shouldn't sound so daunting, like, oh, it took me a year. I wasn't just sitting around for a year. I was working hard, and I was seeing results as it pertained to where I was along the way. So my 3D was reflecting back at me where I was along the way. I was meeting people along the way. I was dating so many people, trying to figure out the next thing I needed to figure out, trying to come into the next lesson, the next level of understanding. So it wasn't like I just sat on my butt for a year with this perfect vision of what I wanted. No. Because oftentimes it takes that journey for you to fully even see the details of what it is that you truly desire. Like when I started out, I just wanted to know what love felt like on a divine level. And spoiler alert, when you want love, you have to, it's a self thing. It's a self-love thing. So that was why I think my journey took as long as it did, was because I had massive healing to do with my self-love. I mean, you think you love yourself, you think you have a good self-concept. I did not. And people were shocked. When I told my friends what I was going through, they were like, there's no way you feel that way about yourself. And I was like, no, dude, look, I wrote it down, and I would read them the things I had written that I truly believed about myself, and they were like, I cannot believe you felt this way about yourself. And I was like, yeah, it's really strange because like I understood that people felt a certain way about me. I guess I had a self-concept of how other people saw me, but I didn't have that self-concept of myself, and I didn't understand that those were two different things. So that's like a whole other tangent. But what I'm saying is, when you hear timelines where people say, my manifestation only took 2 weeks, my manifestation only took 2 days, my manifestation took 2 years, don't freak out. If yours isn't happening in 2 days or 2 weeks, if you're seeing progress in the forms of self-discovery, if you're learning more about yourself, if you're seeing the way that your past beliefs, your past wounds, your past beliefs led to the results that you were or are experiencing, it's working. Your manifestation is working. It's totally working. It's working to heal you so that you can come into that space of not even needing what it is you want. And then that's when that is alignment. That is alignment. It feels like you don't even need it anymore and you might not even want it. And that's when it comes in for you. So check out my other videos if you want more manifestation tips. If you have specific questions, did I not explain this very well? I did my best, but that doesn't mean that it was good enough to help everyone understand. Organizing my thoughts can be difficult with my brain all over the place all the time. But if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment, let me know what you thought, let me know what's going on with you. What are you manifesting? Do you see this in yourself? Do you look at this the same way? Because I actually have found it such a relief to say, oh, I started my manifestation X amount of days ago or X amount of weeks ago and it's still not here yet. But it doesn't stress me out when I say, oh, but I just saw that I was still doing this yesterday. It's been 12 hours, 24 hours, and then 24 hours later, I'll come into another realization. I'll have something else to heal. And I'm like, oh, I restart the timer because I'm still not there yet. I'm still coming into alignment. So of course my 3D reality would be reflecting that at me, and I would rather just take a break from my 3D reality reflecting like baby steps along the way. Like I'll just wait till the end. That's the kind of manifestor I am. I just want the end result. I don't want to have to check with the 3D reality. That didn't make sense. What I meant to say is that I don't want to see my manifestation showing up half-assed. That's what I don't want to see. And so my soul orchestrates things like that for me. I'm very all or nothing. I'm a very all or nothing kind of individual. So it makes me feel better to know that my manifestation reflection in the 3D clock starts over every time I realize that there was another piece of me that needed healing. Do you recognize this in yourself? Is this something that you relate to? Does this resonate? Let me know your thoughts. Subscribe if you're not already. Let me know what else you would like to see videos on, and I will catch you in the next video.